Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome live to Croke Park Studios for the latest episode of The View, as always brought to you by our friends at Allianz. Now, our inter-county footballers had a weekend off, so it was all focus on the Allianz Hurling Leagues, and we have assembled a panel of small ball experts to talk through all the biggest talking points from the weekend's action. Joining me in studio, we have Limerick great Séamus Hickey. Podge Collins bounced off a flight from a golf trip and he's very happy after Clare continued their 100% record in Division 1B yesterday and making her debut on The View. It's Waterford camogie star Niamh Rockett. Also joining us on the line, he was meant to come into studio but he couldn't possibly face coming in. It's Kilkenny's Walsh. Wally, we'll get to Kilkenny's biggest defeat in over 70 years shortly, but look, loads to go on from the weekend, guys. I suppose, Niamh, we might start with you. We're all spoofers and chancers. We hung up the boots. You're the only one still playing inter-county action, and you were starting for Waterford at the weekend with a 6-point haul against Antrim over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a good win now. Good to get. It's always gone up the north there is tough going now, so we're delighted. We are getting 3 from 3 at the moment now, so all the season's gone well. Yeah, trying to stream the RT and TG Car now going across the border was a bit dodgy on Saturday, but we got to redo it anyway over the weekend. Have a relook over it. Very good.
And Podge, as you mentioned there, the geopolitical tension across the world has caused havoc with your plans. You were meant to be in Dubai golfing, but you had to settle for Quinta de Lago. What a life. This is what's ahead of you, Niamh, when you hang up the hurl.
I was actually in the campus doing a warm weather training camp for the upcoming league season. Yeah, that's really, with David Tuberty, that's really what was going on. So
you haven't seen any action either? So
I got to watch all of it. There was VPNs and different things working out, so I got to see all of it now, in fairness.
GA Plus International, no doubt, I'm sure. Well, listen, we'll kick into the results and then we'll go through the biggest talking points. So looking back at the weekend, in Division 1A, we had the blockbuster games on Saturday night, and there's that defeat. 35 points to 17, an 18-point win for Galway in Salt Hill. The big game on Saturday night in the Gaelic grounds, Limerick came out on top and handed Ben O'Connor's Cork their first defeat. And yesterday, some very sad news, obviously. The Waterford Tipperary game was postponed. Mikey Kiley's father, Benny, passed away. That game has been rescheduled for next week, and our condolences to the Kiley family and everyone in Waterford GAA. Now, I suppose, looking back to the games on Saturday night, the biggest game, as we said, a lot of talk in the lead up to this game. Ben O'Connor's Cork with a 100% record. They were taking on John Kiley's Limerick, and you felt there might be a score to settle. A lot of people talking about potentially 5 times these teams are going to meet. But at the weekend, it was Limerick who came out on top. Séamus, what did you make of it? Was it a surprise? Ben O'Connor made a couple of changes, but Limerick were dominant.
I kind of we had to wait a bit of time for both teams to be announced. The Limerick team came first and the Cork team came second. I'll be honest, as soon as the Cork team was named, I just felt that it was the 100% record isn't worth keeping if you have to put too much into it. Like I think a conscious decision was made to give games to guys. It wasn't to win in the Gaelic grounds, and that's how it transpired. I think they came up the road to give a fair account to themselves. I think they achieved that, but the 100% only means something.
Is that a surprise though? Because Ben O'Connor last week spoke about we want to win every game.
It is until you can look at until you look at the context. Like, so if you're talking about playing the second last round of the league, you're playing. Both those teams look like they're going to go into a league final. Galway might have something to say about it when they go to get the grounds against Limerick, but it looks like they could be in a league final. Then you're talking about round robin Munster. That's in a very short space of time to have those even 2 chance encounters. So maybe there's a little bit of holding back, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. You're never going to admit it, but I thought, I was disappointed. I kind of hoped that for the league, kind of the round robin, that it was going to be the choice of it. But it was a good game, definitely. But like the second half to me looked like
the last 20 in particular.
Yeah, it just definitely did. It looked like the 2 teams that went out. That's the way it finished. Yeah.
Walter, would you agree? 8 changes from Ben O'Connor and Cork, like I say, despite he's been great for headlines over the last couple of weeks, and Cork have set off like a house on fire so far this season. But to make 8 changes, do you agree with Séamus on that? It was maybe one eye on later meetings in the year they're going to have.
Yeah, I think so. I was still very impressed with some of the Cork performers as well. Like Barry Walsh, after finding him as well, he had a good game, and he was on Kyle Hayes, so he was coming up against the best in the game. I did think there was a ferocious intensity to that first 20 minutes. I thought it was a great opening half of hurling, really. And Cork put it up to him with, you could say, missing 8 starters. But I think Ben O'Connor went to win the game, and he got to see a few lads against the best in the country as well. So, yes, it was. You could see if you're looking at the two teams on paper, you would think, yes, Limerick were going to win that game. But Cork did put it up to them, bar a few of the goals in the second half. So, I think it was worthwhile for both teams. They'll both drive on down the league, and will both be reasonably happy with their performances.
Niamh, you'd agree, Ben O'Connor, obviously, he spoke about the intensity and the more physicality that Cork want to bring to it. It was a pretty fiery first half in particular. He's not going to be overly concerned with the result at the end of it all, is he?
No, I don't really think so. I suppose the one thing that he'd be concerned about is that gap between 55 minutes and kind of 70 minutes, where I think Limerick got 2-5 without reply. So that's a big concern, because they weren't tipping away at it, they weren't chipping away at that lead. So for Cork to not get up and score, I think Tim O'Mahony had a wide, I think Kieran Joyce had a wide as well. So I suppose making sure that teams don't get too far ahead and that they're tipping away at that lead as well, I suppose that's something that he'd be looking at.
Podge, agree?
Yeah, and it's just experience. Teams that, let's say, trying to stop the rot, Cork will look at that game and they'll be right in the 55th minute.
They learn from it, won't
they? Yeah, we were in a bit of bother there, and we couldn't get a score. Limerick were well on top. They scored 2-5 without reply. If this happens again, the team gets on top of us, completely dominating our puck out, dominating their puck out. What are we going to do? And they will learn something for it. And I know what, if when you're not starting Darragh Fitzgibbon in a game and he's sitting on the bench, psychologically, players, I don't care what anyone says. Psychologically, players are thinking, right, I want to try get my place. I'm going to to put my best foot forward. But Ben cannot stand over that and say, we wanted to really win that game in Limerick if you're leaving one of the best players in Ireland on the bench, in my opinion. That's
and Alan Connolly as well.
Yeah,
he wasn't even on the 26, I don't think either.
Yeah, well, I'd always worry when someone's not in the 26, whether there's something in the background there, but the fact that
Niamh makes, to me, Niamh's point is the key one for this league for Cork, right? So Ben is after coming in, and I think he's great for that dressing room, right? Because he's going to stick up
freshness
for him.
To it, isn't it?
He's going to stick up for him, and he's going to be, he's going to go to war for the lads, and he's combative. But this Cork team doesn't need to be competitive. I think they've proven that they can. There's no one bullying this Cork team for the last 3 years. It's the 2-5 in the 10-minute spell. That's what broke them last year. It broke them in the Gaelic grounds in Limerick, and it kind of was like, okay, that was a bit of an accident in the Munster round robin. But then, what was it, 3 months later in Croke Park in All Ireland final, a run in the second half by Tipperary, and
is that the key? Is that what Ben Connor's trying to do? Cork did so much right last season. They were probably the best team for 90% of the season.
Yeah, but it's how do you respond? How do you respond to a team getting a run on you? How do you respond when things are going wrong? This league isn't doing that for Cork. Fronting up the people, showing the physicality. That's great. I thought they could do that. Yeah. It's the what happens when the team gets the run. Until you prove it's not there. That mental frailty is there, and that's to me, that's Ben O'Connor's number one job.
Yeah, and as in who stands up, when Tim O'Mahony went up the pitch and it went wide, it just spirals throughout the whole team. Then a wide is as good as a score then to Limerick, and then another one from Kieran Joyce, and they weren't using I suppose they were trying to take pot shots then from further out the field, forcing it again instead of just working the ball through the nines, getting back on top. You even see against Wexford and Clare the other day. Wexford came back, got 1-1 without reply and kind of brought it back to a point, and then Clare came back in, they got their scores again and just took off because they have that bit of grit, I suppose, and that bit of, steadying the ship, and no one had to pull out games, I suppose.
One positive I would say is Tim O'Mahony on the freeze. He took 2 from outside his range that he missed, but everything from far 65 in, he nailed. And I do think that if Cork want to win Munster, win the All-Ireland, win the league like they're saying, they need 100% free taker from inside that zone, because you're losing one from last year.
Is Alan Connolly that guy?
He chose to fill with Hoggy.
Exactly. That's the question.
But that's all I'm saying. Connolly has missed a few of those frees.
Yeah,
and Tim Manny just was from the far 65 in. Is he going to be the guy? But I'm sure they're practicing training at the end of every training. There's going to make a decision made.
Look, Limerick actually won the game. So what about Limerick, Séamus? They're scoring threat.
Let's not talk about Limerick. Let's just
the cock a hoop coming in this morning with it. But John Kiley be delighted. You were particularly impressed with their attack.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things to like about what Limerick are doing this year, right? Yeah. And it's probably a fruit of we actually got a real bounce from Fitzgibbon, and our younger players playing really well for Mary I, for UL. And it's a great competition at the start of the year. But Limerick, for anything to happen this year, I was convinced that it wouldn't be any of the established players who've won All-Stars and All-Irelands. It had to be the fresh guys. It had to be the Cathal O'Neills, the Shane O'Briens. And we've got a threat. We've got a threat inside now with Shane at the edge of the square, who's really kind of grown into his role. You can see him here, picking up the ball on the outside here and just going at him. And he's just that physical, he's not called the bull for anything. He's a great target for a ball. It really helps Aaron beside him to take some of the emphasis off of Galan. Shane is a target man. And he's just so, look at him, how physically strong he is. And he's able to look up, he's able to play in players around him. I just think that they had goal chances at the weekend, loads of them. The ball put in here, like Adam English's great ball in, only that. I think it was a Limerick covered in the back here, only for him to come in against Shane O'Brien. They were cooked as well. We've got a goal threat is important. Cathal O'Neill on this occasion is the one who finishes it. So for Limerick, I felt we were kind of racking up 25 points a game without really threatening the net the last year and a half. I think that's a good sign for us.
Like, what impressed you most as well? Not just at the weekend. They went to Semple Stadium a couple of weeks ago and put down another marker there with a brilliant performance against Tip. Are Limerick purring nicely at the minute?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose, it's their intensity in the tackle as well. When they get in, they want the ball. They're getting intense. They're getting bodies around it. It's their work rate, their forced turnovers. Anytime they win a game, their forced turnovers are over 50, 60% on the other team. And I think that's what I suppose is echoing to our team, because when you're getting that turnover, even winning a free for themselves is as good as a score to them, because that's how much they want the ball. Paul Kinnaird has them like that, Get on the ball, break down the other team, challenge every ball, even as Podge was saying earlier, say for example on puckouts and stuff like that, it's just that wants to get the ball in intensity, and then everyone is chomping at the bit, as we said already, Aidan O'Connor coming in, Tom Morrissey coming in as a sub, Hugh Flanagan coming on getting a score. There's so many players putting their hands up now to get that jersey, which is leading everyone to being leading everyone to being, I suppose, at the top of their game.
Wally, on that, just Aidan O'Connor obviously and what Séamus and Niamh have said, the importance of, he's been around the panel a couple of years, but in terms of really standing up and becoming one of the key men for this Limerick team, taking the frees, Galan, maybe is that going to be the case in the summer as well, but he's really stood up over the last couple of weeks for Limerick. You feel he's going to be very important for them come summertime?
Yeah, definitely. He seems to be their most important find of the league. He's top scorer in all their games as well. So he's, John Kiley's going to be delighted with that. He looks to be nailed on free taker for the year. It's in his hands now as well. So there's no reason why he can't hold on to that. And like what Niamh said there in relation to the competition they have, if he's going to be starting, you see Tom Morrissey's on the bench. That's just creating more and more competition, which is great. But his free taking has been immaculate so far, and he just has so much skill as well. He just takes points at his ease. This one was my favourite as well. He shows his pace as well, gets through the line and off the hurl as well. There's a lot of players who can't do that from 50 yards out on the run. He just seems to have everything, and as well as that, it's taken that bit of pressure off Aaron Galan. I know that the penalty here as well probably wasn't his best strike, but he gets the goalie the eyes and put it on in
was
the
that intentional,
side.
or is that a new thing we're trying, or is it a bit of a mishit?
I'd say it's a bit of a mishit there, but he struggled with a bit of power anyway, so it got
there in the end.
In the end. So look, he seems to have it all. And even that last score over the shoulder off his left, he had Cian Lynch inside him, but he had the confidence just to take it on, and he's a real find as well. And it's going to be hard to see who's going to be on the bench for Limerick come championship.
Even James, John Kiley singled him out. John Kiley's style is not really, it's all about the team, but you get a sense he's trying to really give him confidence.
I would say it is, especially the free taking. If you're going to give it to a guy, then you need to row in behind him, and you need to basically say, you're in there, we're committing to you. You're not as if 2-3 bad frees and you're going to be, you're going to get the hook. So that's key for me. If you're going to take a young chap and you're going to give him the responsibility, then you row in behind him. So to me, that was probably, I wouldn't expect it on the regular from John, but for me it's fantastic. Even just showing in the clips there, his ability to go back the field, very kind of Jake Morris-esque, kind of at 11, kind of going back the field, helping out midfield, half back line. And it just gives us options with Cian Lynch. Where do you put Cian? So midfield was good at the weekend, but what are we going to do for a championship?
On that, you're saying that John Kiley's putting, I I suppose, his fate into Aidan O'Connor. It's similar to Darragh McCarthy last year. You know, in the semi-final, he got off the freeze. Jason Ford came in the semi-final, nailed 2 frees in the side, and everyone's saying, is he going to take him for the final or is he not going to take him final? Put his fate in him, Liam Cahill did, into Darragh McCarthy, and sure, they reaped rewards by the end of it, you know.
Big time.
Yeah,
just one thing that kind of annoys me about
go on, Podge, get it off your chest.
hurling at the moment. Like Aidan O'Connor got 6 from play, right? 6 from play, and there's a number of players we can talk about them in different games. Like if I'm marking a lad, like I only played in the backs when I was a young lad. If I was marking a lad and he got 1 from play, I'd be bulling. Yeah. I'd be like, what? It seems now like it's like, oh, a lad can get 5 from play, and at the back is like, oh, I still could have a great game. Yeah. Like someone, like I don't want to single out the vendors here too badly, but like someone said to me, oh, he had a great game at centre back. I was like, Aidan O'Connor got 6 from play. He was man in match. I know they gave it to Keane Lynch.
It's the only position that I'd actually say that 11 scoring.
I've spoken as a true defender.
It's the only position. It's funny that you say it, like, because it would upset me if anybody scored off me from play when I was playing. But like
6 is a lot.
Especially if his name was Walter Walsh, right? But or Podge Collins. But it's one of the positions I think is the only time you get a bit of a pass. Like I never saw Declan Hannon pushing up on 11. It was always a responsibility of a sitting midfielder. But 6 points per play is a lot of points per play.
Yeah, see, and the problem with Limerick, you have too many fires to put out. You can, like, if you leave Keane unmarked, he will destroy you with picking out players. He mightn't score 3 or 4 ones, but he will pick you apart. Adam English, you cannot leave him unmarked. Like, so they're probably going to be the 2 midfielders at the moment.
But is that the balance then? Like, there's a lot of people talking that maybe Cork and Limerick are going to play 5 times this season. Maybe that's a bit presumptuous at the minute. But is that what Ben O'Connor's going to learn from that at the weekend? These are maybe losing that game, losing the battle, but you might win the war. It's that balance. And I agree, centre back is a tough position, the same in football. We man this guy and leave the space.
Nothing is done this time of year. Like even Limerick's midfield pairing isn't. Darragh Donovan was excellent for 3 weeks. So like, and Limerick haven't achieved anything. Only they played well against Tipperary. They played well against Cork. They got turned over by Waterford. The Offaly game was so-so. So like nothing is achieved. What it is good, and it's a sign of something that's building, is what we probably didn't have was balance in attack, and it's the options. It's the fires to put out. Our half-forward line were dominant for 4 or 5 years, like, and it was unmarkable to have Garrod Hegarty and Tom Morrissey on either side of Keane Lynch. We needed something to happen because the last 2 years we were losing that sector. So we've got a bit of dynamism with Carl O'Neill at the moment on the wing. We've got Adam English now, who's just an absolute force. He's unbelievable in the middle of the field. So we've got that bit of, who do you stop?
More variety in attack.
Yeah, it's Kylie's
going to be delighted.
It's key. You can't go long to full forward all the time.
Wally, if you were out centre forward, you'd love no one marking you. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
It'd be deadly, yeah. I'd enjoy that.
You're going to go back playing now, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, well, Brendan Cummins mentioned me on commentary there at the weekend. We'll talk about a little bit maybe about that Kilkenny game, but maybe not. We'll see how we go. But yeah, he mentioned me on commentary saying that they need to pull forward, so I was nearly being brought out of retirement. But centre forward is a nice position because the centre back tends to sit and you have a bit more freedom. But what we've seen, especially with Kilkenny, is they've started pushing up a bit more on Owen Cody when he's centre forward. So Aidan O'Connor might have it now, but come championship, he might have someone a bit closer to him as well. But yeah, it's a nice position.
Podge, outside of obviously some new faces in the Limerick team, Niamh, as you mentioned, there's maybe a bit of a chip on their shoulder after, particularly last season, how disappointing that was. The puckouts are really an area where they seem to have honed in on, obviously Nicky Quaid and goal, but it went really well for them on Saturday night. Yeah,
I felt defending the Cork puckouts and their own puckouts was unbelievably impressive, and I really think that's what decided the game. And I didn't think it was until the 55th minute that Limerick were on top. It's just the scores didn't reflect it. Like the way Limerick have done this puck out for the last 5 years, or maybe longer, and it's been documented. I'd say they were doing it when Séamus was there. Half forward line sit in kind of around the 45, or a different player might, and if the player isn't going to get there, he'll stay in midfield and just leave that space. And then Nicky Quaid just bides his time. They make a few runs over and back, and whichever side they go to, it's into the space. And I saw Galway doing a bit of this the other night, which really impressed me as well. That they're doing it, they're really working on their puck outs. And teams, the day of 50-50 on the half forward line, standing there, like, it's really gone if a team is doing this correctly. Now you can hold your shape, but what the problem with holding your shape is teams will overload. If the wing backs stay at one side, you put a ball down the middle where it's 3-on-1 then for a period of time, and they're running in from either side. So And then on the opposite side, I just felt Cork were very static.
Yeah.
No, they didn't like when they have Diarmaid and Dara Fitz in the wings. It's a different ball game for me. But like Cork or Limerick half forward line, drop back. David Reedy gets out. You end up with 13 Limerick players in their half, and then it's 2-on-2 inside, and the 2-on-2 inside are ball winners. So you get.
Is it all structure, or is there a bit of what maybe say intensity in that as well? What Cork just a little bit off that?
There is intensity, but it's also the speed of hurling. It's like when the ball goes to the ground and Keane Lynch is around it, Adam English is around it, Colleen is around it, that ball comes up first time and it's gone. Other teams, like when you watch Kilkenny the other night, the amount of fumbling that was going on.
We'll get to them. Don't worry.
But like it's just their speed of hurling, and then Cork's puck outs. Just one more thing on it. When they do go long, and even when they win it, like Barry Walsh picks up one here, you have 7 lads around him, and you're going to get turned over. They're really good in the tackle. They really focus on the ball, where the ball's in the hand, and they usually turn it over. That probably happened 4 times in that game the other night. So I just think Limerick are very strong in this, and teams will have to come up with plans to pick them apart.
What makes them good as well, though, like what we were saying earlier, is that like what makes Nicky Quaid so good is that he is constantly, till the very last second, he's scanning the area. So
keeps them guessing.
Keeps them guessing. So he can go a short puck at 30 yards, he'll go 50 yards, he'll go down the middle, like as you were saying, he'll hit the space. There's no signals. I saw at some stage as well, like Podge Collins was giving a signal, one hand up, and it was kind of an overload on that side as well, on one side. But Nicky Quaid has no signals, it's just reading the game. He reminds me of like Socky, say for example, Stephen O'Keefe in the All-Ireland final. It's just reading the games, moving into the space. And when you're taking that split second less to, I suppose, as a forward, when the goalie's taking a split second less to throw up the ball and watch it, you've got that yard in that player, so you don't have the likes of Kieran Joyce up on top of you. Dara Fitzgibbon, say for example, pushing on those areas to squeeze that space. You can get that chance to hit that grass like you were alluding to earlier on.
What I would say is my sense is like that Cork puck out. They did this last year. They held it in their back pocket, where they were doing they were doing far more. I would say exactly what you're talking about, Podge, in terms of, so like they were overloading with Declan Dalton and someone coming off in the touch. Like they had Dara Fitzgibbon come down in front of him, they had Séamus Harnedy swing around in front of him, they had Séamus belt out of a space, and then Alan Connolly come out for a puck out. So they have, I feel like there's a little bit of that going on this time of year.
And it's still early days.
It's to be expected. Yeah. But what I do agree with Podge though is the last, I would say, 3-4 years, I haven't been impressed with Cork's ability to win that kind of a puck out, like where it's basically a 50-50 ball in their half forward line. Now, you know, when you're playing 6'5" and 6'4", centre back,
happy with Cork being beat at the weekend.
That half back line in Limerick is just huge. Like, so it's a bad puck out in that scenario.
Before Walter's nearly finished his lunch there, and we can't let him get away without the other big game from Saturday night as well. But look, Cork will probably get back on the horse in a couple of weeks' time. They play Offaly. Yeah. And what that would mean, if Cork pick up the expected victory, it becomes a shootout between Galway and Limerick to see who gets into that league final. Galway, but probably one of the standout results from the weekend. Niamh, what do we make of that result? But we'll get to Kilkenny, but Galway and Micheál Dunne must be delighted with that.
It's so impressive. Like, you know, I suppose they put away, it was a do or die game for Waterford the week before. They put Waterford away very, very impressively. Then they came out today. A lot have been made of it. I suppose two teams that want to get points on the board. Kilkenny probably trying to contest getting into a league final, and Micheál Dunne's side was just absolutely unbelievable. Everything was off the front foot. There was no going back towards goal from their full back line all the way up to the full forward line. Everyone was bombing forward. We're going to attack this Kilkenny line, and I suppose that's what put them on the back foot from the get-go, I think.
Podge did over 13 different scores as well. All 5 subs. Micheál Dunne who's spoken about getting new players in. Like, is Aaron Ireland possibly one of the best of them? Is that freedom nearly? That third quarter in particular, they just seem to blow Kilkenny away.
Yeah, no, Aaron Ireland's very impressive. There's a lot of them very impressive, and I think Niamh is spot on. When you look at that game, everything Galway was just front foot. Like Darren Marcy coming up from full back.
Confidence, wasn't there?
Just no issue. I'm full back. I'll run up because you've got intelligent players in your half back line. If you're at the far side of the half back line, Ronan Glenn will just literally turn back and slot in, and there's no issue. They're very strong at the back. But no, Aaron Ireland
for scores here. Yeah.
He's a class act. He's very skillful. He's very fast. Like he's probably a small bit light. But when you have speed and skill, you will get away with it. And Cathal Mannion at centre forward is like, it's similar to Aidan O'Connor. Like, he's the one player that Aidan O'Connor reminds me of the other night. It's like, you cannot give Cathal Mannion space. If I'm playing against Galway, I don't care how I do it. if I have to drop a wing forward onto him and leave the centre-back sit, if he's going to be going all over the field, I'm Cathal Mansfield, danger man, but he's a real good supporting cast around him now as in a forward line. But it's just the athleticism of that Galway team that was most impressive for me, and that was the biggest difference. I thought, like, Kilkenny couldn't win 50-50s, and
flat, weren't they? Yeah.
Any time Galway were looking up the field, they were hitting the ball to a man in space. They had 2 or 3 yard separation. Watch the opposite. Any ball that was going to Kilkenny forwards, it was man on man. You had to win that ball, and if you didn't take it first time with the pressure on, it was gone. So, like, Galway had the space at the other end, and that's why it was such a demolition job.
They've used over 30 players as well. So Neil Donoghue's kind of Galway are a bit under the radar. Yeah. The focus is always on the Munster Championship. Like, say, Cork, Limerick, the big 2. Is he building something really under the radar here?
He's done it very well in a short space. Like, at the end of last year, the outlook was bleak enough for Galway, and so you're looking at a lot of the 2017 crew that were still the bones of what they were trotting out like. So what he's managed to do in this league campaign is to give those young players prominent positions and a platform to play well.
He's trusted them, hasn't he?
Yeah, but like it's I've been very impressed, and like I was saying to Podge and Niamh earlier, like their movement is probably as impressive as the end result. Like the space that Podge is talking about, that's created by players vacating, moving. The full forward line don't stay full forward. They can actually go out half forward for a period spell, swap outside, bring inside. Tom Monaghan is playing half forward. He's playing corner forward. I think
very cohesive up front, isn't it?
But that's
playing for each other.
The word. That's the word. It's not. It felt disjointed the last couple of years. This year it feels like it's all joined together. So I think he's done a really good job. And this is the league. I get it, but the way they're playing is, that's scalable. That you can bring that to championship. It's impressive stuff.
Wally, we can't put it off any longer. Kilkenny, their worst defeat in over 70 years, and Derek Ling, he didn't pull any punches afterwards, label it totally unacceptable. What's happening to the Cats?
Yeah, it was just all over the field, really. They were second to every ball. They couldn't win a breaking ball. As Podge said, they were fumbling everything. Very little direction. Bar maybe Cian Kenny had a great game. He was leading the charge, but bar Cian Kenny's performance, there's absolutely zero positives you can take from it. And it's hard to put your finger on it, but it's like they couldn't pick up the ball. It was very unlike Kilkenny, and their work rate was poor as well. And towards the end, Galway were just getting scores from everywhere, and there wasn't a hand left on them. I think that's what's probably most disappointing is, I don't like to say they gave up, but it looked like some players weren't putting in the same work as what's required to wear a Kilkenny jersey, and that's probably the most disappointing thing with that. Now, saying that, we do have some players to come back, but you'd be looking towards TJ Reid to come back, TJ's 38 now as well, but he's still so important, and like Adrian Mullen, Owen Murphy, Mikey Butler was absent, maybe John Donnelly starting, but you're looking at to see who we got to come back. And yeah, look, you'd be hoping it'd be a different case in 6 weeks' time when Kilkenny go back to Galway in the championship.
Is there a bit, Wally, like you look at Kilkenny traditionally, like an acceptance of defeat on Saturday night, but just something you would never ever associate with Kilkenny hurling? And TJ Reid coming back, obviously one of the greatest players we've ever seen. How important is he nearly on the field, or is he more important nearly off the field as well, in terms of those standards that Derek Ling is clearly feeling? They haven't been hitting them, and Saturday night was the latest example.
Yeah, TJ's a great leader in that dressing room as well. And look, I suppose he'll be just looking at his own performances, but when TJ Reid is in the dressing room, you definitely notice it, and it should bring more. But you shouldn't have to look towards TJ Reid to get a performance out of yourself as a player, and it's just really, really disappointing. It's hard to know. It looks like Mikey Carey now is after picking up an injury, hamstring injury, and like, who's going to go full back now? I think that might be maybe a godsend in regard. I think Mikey Carey's needed in the half back line, and maybe Dara Corcoran slots back in full back, and I think that might make the Kilkenny team look a bit better, just the spine of the team as well. So, I don't know where we go from here. We've a game against Tipperary, which is basically a relegation battle, really. And what better way to do it than beat Tipperary up in Semple Stadium in the last game? But look, they're like right now, Tip are massive favourites to beat Kilkenny in that game.
You'd have to expect some sort of backlash from Kilkenny. Obviously, Derek Ling is not going to accept that going forward again. But Séamus, you're nodding along. I think we all were just. Surprising, such a surprise to see Kilkenny in this situation.
But look what happened the week before against Cork. Like, it was a one-score game, like, and very competitive. But it was probably this can happen as well when you're playing games week to week. So like that was against Cork, it was like 212 to 115. It was a really low scoring, dogged game, and then they went up to Salt Hill and got an absolute, blitzkrieg. So sometimes it can be hard to adjust to the pace. Sometimes going up there, but like I wouldn't have expected that kind of scoring, even against the wind in the first half by Galway. Like so. Some of it is. I think I wouldn't overreact to this. I don't think Kilkenny are.
It's not panic station.
I don't listen. I don't think they're a bad team. Like but it's just it did not look good.
You're talking about the leaders there. Like just even after the first, I think there was 6 points in at half time. The first 10 minutes of the second half, I think there was 7 points with no reply from Galway. And then I think they got back. Keane tagged back a few points, and then we're going again to the 55th minute, like similar to the Cork and Limerick game. 8 points with no reply. And then the gap was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There's no momentum. You're waiting, as Wally alluded to, we're waiting for TJ to get pluck a ball out of the sky, or it can't rely on that. Like there has to be somebody that's going to go, no, we're going to break these guys' momentum. We're going to stop. Like 7 points out of reply, 8 points out of reply. That's just massive. Like when a team gets that in you, they're just going to keep tagging away on you as well.
Wally, before we let you go back to work, final question here, but probably we won't ruin your week. What's the ceiling for this Kilkenny team? What's the mood within the city? Is it, standards of All Ireland and things like that? Where can this team get to?
Yeah, after that performance, you'd be just hoping to get out of Leinster. But I think right now Kilkenny are behind Galway and Dublin in Leinster. I would still have them in the top three. Look, Kilkenny get their act together for the championship, get into top two in Leinster, potentially win a Leinster final during an All-Ireland semi-final, and then it's 2 games to win an All-Ireland. So we haven't been too far away the last couple of years. In semi-finals, we're in a puck of a ball from getting to the final. And yeah, look, it is very disappointing. I don't think we should panic just yet, but there has to be massive improvement. Leinster is becoming more and more competitive as well. Yeah. So I think the focus just goes on getting out of Leinster and see what happens after that.
Well, I didn't expect that unless a positive tone to finish on. Thanks a million for joining us. We will keep a very close eye on Kilkenny. That Tipperary game is going to be massive. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch up in a few weeks' time.
Thanks very much, lads.
Yes. Take care. Podge, now he's gone now. Give us your real thoughts on Kilkenny. You're the person to get in there.
Like I've had those days, some days, where the ball just will not stick in your hand, and you're trying to force and you're trying to work harder, and it's getting more and more frustrating. And I've particularly owned Cody, because he is one of the top forwards in the country. The amount of balls he just fumbled. He just had one of those days, and he was trying to work his socks off, and he just couldn't get it. And then it was getting more and more frustrating for him. He picked up a yellow, and it was a tough day. It's like they came out at half-time and they were like, we are going to work like animals now for the next 5-10 minutes. Like, we're really going to put up the Galway. And then nothing went right. You could see there was 8 of them chasing, 8 of them chasing, they're working. And then as soon as that period, when they went up by 7, then they just started being like, you just saw the body language go, this is not our day.
Any bit, isn't it? You never really associate that with it.
It is, but hurling is just, can be so tight. And small things turn. It's like Limerick lost to Waterford down in Waterford. And look what they've showed since, what they did to Tipperary in Thurles, what they did to Cork last night. And that Cork game, everyone was talking about the intensity of that Cork game, regardless of the changes. It was still unbelievably intense, and they came out and showed their class. So Kilkenny, listen, they're going to be very disappointed. They're going to assess that game to the nth degree. They're going to look back in other games, but I don't think it's the end of them by a long shot.
If we look ahead, obviously the rescheduled game, Waterford take on Tip this weekend. If they get a result there, it does become a relegation shootout between the All-Ireland champions and Kilkenny, which nobody would have had at the start of the season. But if you look at Waterford, lots of rumours down your way. Is Austin Gleeson popping his head back up? Is it true? Do we expect to see him come summertime?
Yeah. Look, there's Austin was, I suppose he was took a bit of a break there and he's been working away in the background, getting himself fit, he had a couple of niggly injuries as well, so the rumours are strife in Waterford anyway, and you're trying to nail down Ozzy when you can see him to see is he back or is he not, and then he'll give you the standard answer of, we'll see, so you still don't really know if you're in or not, to be honest with you, with Ozzy. But he's a massive player for Waterford, I suppose, and judging by last week's performance against Galway, that'll be a massive boost for Waterford to get him in, get him involved. And I suppose even he had a brilliant club season this year with Mount Sion, and having him on the pitch, I think, is just a boost for Waterford and the supporters there.
Yeah, and a big game this weekend, obviously. Peter Queally spoke about Waterford obviously started the league with that brilliant win against Limerick, a bit hit and miss since. Tip obviously started well, but then had that big defeat at home. Liam Cal wasn't impressed with that. You expect a backlash. It's a big game this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Waterford for me. I really expected, like, the Waterford Kilkenny game was competitive, it was good, and it's one of the reasons why I was surprised what Kilkenny did, because even against Limerick, Kilkenny moved the ball really well. But the Waterford Kilkenny game was a good game. Waterford really disappointed, probably the better team I thought on the day. But then, you know, I was expecting them to go up to Salt Hill and to really in something down, like as a marker to show intent. We beat Limerick, we come up here now, we can get a result. Yeah, I didn't think they played well in Salt Hill, like, and it was and as good as Galway are.
Yeah,
and
maybe that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, maybe, but I was disappointed. But so I would say that Waterford Tip game for me is a really good barometer. Where is Waterford at? Because there's consequences for it. So it's not a nothing game. The Limerick Cork game, as intense as it was, there was really no consequence. So this Waterford Tip one is, you know, who's going down.
There's always good rivalry there between Tip and Waterford after Liam Cahill's tenure there as well. So I'm sure there'll be a bit of argy-bargy on the sideline as well, I'd say.
Well, we look to Division 1B next. Obviously, we covered a lot in 1A there. The results from the weekend, Podge, as I said, delighted. Clare have confirmed their promotion. Comfortable winners over Wexford yesterday. Dublin had far too much on Saturday night in Parnell Park for down. And also Kildare carrying on their fine form with a 322 to 119 victory over Carlow yesterday. So, Podge, from the Clare perspective, Brian Lohan, interesting comments afterwards. It kind of, no surprises. He's happy, 100% record, but hard to get a handle on exactly where this Clare team are at, being in Division 1B. They've done what they've had to do. Obviously still missing some of their most marquee or standout players, but it's job done so far for Clare. Is that as much as you can say about them?
Yeah, there's just a kind of unknown with Clare at the moment. It's like, we know, like, when we won the All-Ireland 2 years ago, we got our best players in the pitch at the right time of the year.
Yes.
And the quality is just undeniable. It's unbelievable. And when you get them flowing together, it's top notch. But it's not a tap. You cannot just turn it on. Do you know? Like Limerick at the moment, it's a mark of intent. We're putting out our strongest team. We want our strongest players playing together, getting used to playing together, knowing what types of runs they're going to make, everything like that. That's the only thing that would concern me about Clare. I've no doubt they're as good as anything in the country, in my head. But it's just a matter of, like, I'd like to see them in a league final. It's going to be against Dublin.
More than likely.
I think it'll be a nice game.
Yeah, it will be a nice game. And that Dublin game in Cusack Park was a very good game. And Dublin, similar to Limerick and the puckouts, they were running Clare around, they were finding pockets of space, they have really good energy, really good athletes. So that'll be a real test of Clare. And I'd say Brian will really be pushing to get his best team onto the field for that game. And that'll be kind of a gauge of where we are for the Munster Championship, because it is going to be some competitive. And he will not be happy with the way the game ended. Yes. Like Lee Chin takes a shot, like it was straight at the goal. It was a tough shot, it was a tough shot to take or to get a goal from saved. We win the game by 3 points. Should have probably won the game by, I'd say, like 7 or 8. It should have been a lot more comfortable. And even with Clare, like, they shot like 70% was the shooting efficiency, which is high. But some of the shots they took on were just not on. Dropping shots short, putting them wide that aren't on. That's really frustrating for a team, for management. So no, they'll be delighted though. It's like all the wins on the board, and Dublin is going to be a massive test going into.
Lots of momentum. But Séamus, is that where Division 1B becomes maybe a bit of a hindrance for Brian Lohan? Would he prefer to be in 1A?
It's funny, I think the opposite. Like, so, and I was saying it to Podge earlier, and maybe Podge's concern is that not being ready for. I think. Give Brian Lohan,
at least
12 months ago, think of what Brian Lohan was having to deal with in terms of the players unavailable, the in-house strife that was going on, just the difficulty of getting results in the league, and poor performances, and just negativity. Now, unfortunately, it was just as bad a repeat for an All-Ireland champion as you can have. But this year, they've been able to stay under the radar. They've taken care of business in 1B. I've been in 1B. Podge has been in 1B. It's easy until it's not. Until there's a result that doesn't go your way with the last puck of a game, like a ball that bobbles into the net when you think you're up 2 points. So they've taken care of business. They've got their 100%. There really is nobody talking about them. So I'm of the belief, like Podge says, when their starting 15 is together, that's a really strong starting 15. one or two question marks, probably around maybe 3 or 4 positions for me total. But overall, they're a really good team, they're a really good side, and this is a quiet kind of preparation. The Dublin game, league final, don't have to play Dublin again. Dublin are in Leinster, so they can go strong as you want without any consequences. Whereas, Limerick and Waterford, maybe Galway, whatever, Cork, they're looking at, okay, will I meet this team again? Could I meet this team again? Do I have to hold back? Whatever. Clare can just go for it now.
Niamh, I suppose on the other side, Keith, from the Wexford angle, Keith Rossiter spoke with frustration. They had the draw with Dublin out here. They possibly could have won that game. And then yesterday, they kind of really need to pick up a result. They've come up short. He spoke about the disappointment that they're in Division 1B again next year. That the development of that team, they're in a different position to maybe like Clare were All-Ireland champions a couple of years ago. Do you understand Keith Rossiter's frustration for that Wexford team as well?
Yeah, you're even looking at it as well. I think Clare had 10 different scores the other day, and Wexford had the same. Lee Chin, only for a brilliant display by Simon O'Donoghue. Do you know, Kevin Foley, I think one player in the full forward line out of the 5 or 6 players went in there, scored, got one shot off. Do you know, that's a big worry for Keith. And I was looking up as well, like this time 12 months ago, Clare and Wexford were in the relegation battle from 1A, and Wexford actually beat them by 6 points last year. Do you know, so they were probably trying to target that game to get a bit of a boost, but I suppose they're just widening the gap at the moment, I suppose, and the over-reliance again on the same few players, like Simon Dunn was absolutely brilliant. He got player of the match, obviously, and he was on the losing side. He was brilliant. He was been on the freeze as well for a little while this year. Lee Chin again, brilliant again, but like you can't have an over-reliance on it, and I suppose it's a head scratch for Brian Lohan. Now, what is my best 15? Tony Kelly wasn't on it. He's the top scorer in 1B. No Shane O'Donnell there yesterday. So what is going to be my strongest team going out? They really have to make a mark, and they've Waterford in the first round, I suppose, as well, for Munster.
Just one thing, Niall O'Farrell played wing back, and I was very impressed with him. I played against him in club championship. He played centre forward for Broadford, left-handed player, and he's just really steady, like level-headed kind of guy. And he was one player yesterday that I was like impressed with. And
you did a piece on Simon Roach as well on the Wexford side, because obviously Lee Chin is the marquee player there. He's been such an iconic figure for them over the last decade. Is that Keith Rossiter needs to find these type of guys who can take that burden away from, just pose more questions to the opposition?
Yeah, like there's been a couple of players, Tomas Kinsella as well. He's been excellent throughout the league, but Simon Roach yesterday was just phenomenal. And what I really like about him is his composure on the ball. You have this kind of. It was funny. I was watching the Limerick Cork game, and Aaron Glenn took kind of 1 or 2 snapshots at the start, very unlike him. And then everything else after that was just so cool. Takes his 2 steps one way, step the other way, score. And Simon Roach reminded me of that. He just had that bit of composure. He's like, I know that
calmness, wasn't it?
A calmness. I know I'm skillful enough to create space for my shots. It's a real skill. Ian Galvin for Clare has it. There's a couple of players in hurling that you watch. Cathal Mannion has it. He knows if players in 1 yard of him, I can do a step this way and I'll create space. And I think Simon Roach has that. And his accuracy was class. It was off the charts, really. And he's going to take great confidence from that. And when Keith Rossiter knows he's a player like that then as well, like that's brilliant for him. That
it's a green shoot, most certainly.
Simon O'Donoghue will be delighted in cornerback. I'm after giving him the kudos.
I'd love that credit if I was playing
cornerback. Came off at half time there, and I have to give him the kudos for the 1-6 and the goal. Sorry, Simon Roach. No, sorry. O'Donoghue will be delighted with himself now after the hamstring down in the bed there now, saying I got player of the match.
Well, I suppose the other story from 1B, we mentioned Dublin. More than like, it's not confirmed yet, but you'd expect them to be in the final and get promotion back to Division 1A. On their side, Séamus, a couple of weeks ago, friend of the show, Noel Connors, went big and he tipped Dublin to win the Leinster Hurling Championship. Is that maybe not as surprising now? We see Kilkenny coming back to the pack.
I don't trust Noel Connors with most,
nor do I with anything. I didn't coerce him to say that.
Most decisions in life, I wouldn't be, especially not putting money on the line. They're a good team. And like last year was the same. I was just so disappointed last year with the year ended. They have genuinely really, really good players in a lot of really key positions. So, and Donald Burke wasn't even fully firing from last year. Like, and I think he's such a good forward. So, like, hopefully this year he gets a bit more play into him. I think they're really a side that will challenge Leinster very, very seriously. Galway are coming now, which I didn't expect. So it'll be interesting. Kilkenny are threatened for a Leinster final, which is the first time I'd probably be thinking that in a long time. So. Yeah, I think Dublin have huge promise. It's their pace. It's unreal. Keane O'Sullivan, like all these, but it's just they've great range, variety. They've Heatherton inside where he can win a really good long ball. He's getting like Neil O'Kelcon is getting such a great tune out of John Heatherton. Like he's
a throwback, isn't he? A target man.
Yeah.
Niamh. they obviously convincing winners over Down at the weekend.
Yeah.
But number 2-3 for him. He just poses something different to what Dublin already have, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's gotten like 4-4 this championship already. Like, you know, goal threat inside there, I suppose, kind of burst onto the scene last year with, again, his goal threat again. Played phenomenal against Limerick, got a goal himself, set up Keane O'Sullivan for a goal as well last year. You know, he's 34 years of age, but he's not showing any signs of it at the moment now. Like, you know, we were saying about TJ being an older man and being a target
a bit
man,
older, lads. It's all right, trust me.
he can still come back out of retirement, lad. Like, you know, no, it's brilliant. It's I suppose it's a new lease of life for Dublin, and they have athleticism all across the field, but having that out ball, I suppose, when needed to get it into him, knowing that he's a good ball runner, it's
and he complements Keane O'Sullivan and Donald Burke, doesn't he? It's something a bit different.
Yeah, but look what they did to Limerick in this last year. Like, it was their direct running, and then when the Limerick tried to squeeze in the middle to cancel out the direct running, Heatherton was really dangerous inside. So it cut off this lane. We have another. That's what's required at the highest level to be competitive. Now the problem is you have to deliver. When you've expectations, you have to deliver. And Dublin hurling hasn't done it. There's been a few false dawns in Dublin hurling, and this feels like a different crop of players. It feels like a different talent level. But until you prove you can do it, you haven't done it.
Podge, like I say, the opening game of Division 1B, Dublin Down to Ennis, was a brilliant game. Clare came out on top in the end. We expect it to be a league final in a couple of weeks' time. Probably a brilliant game for both of those teams in advance of their respective provincial championships. How do Clare kind of deal with that Dublin attack? Do Brian Lohan have specific plans for the likes of Heatherton now outside of more the established players they would have normally faced?
Yeah, I think Brian will be more thinking about who he's going to get on the field in the right positions. He'll obviously they'll do their analysis of Dublin and they'll pick up the different players they need to for different positions. Like Conor Cleary, I think, is a good match for Heatherton. We've talked about so many Dublin players, and there's these young guys like David Purcell, Eric Purcell, O'Dooley. They've a really good supporting cast. It's not like they're dependent on 3 or 4 players. So I do like Dublin should have a good year this year, and they're like, I know there's a few older players, but the majority of them are still young. I think the future is bright enough for Dublin, and I think they have a good man at the helm as well. But I think the league final for Clare, this is probably the one that Brian's like, this is our preparation now for championship. And probably similar for Dublin. There's been a couple of games like that game at the weekend against Down, like that was like to put up a big score. So yeah, they'll be really looking forward to Clare and kind of set things up for championship.
Dublin could become a hurling county just yet. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on to Division 2 and the results from the weekend as well. Kerry had a very comfortable win over Mayo, 6-24 to 15 points. Laois sealed the promotion back to 1B with their win over the Royals in O'Moore Park yesterday. And on the other side, Westmeath had a victory over Derry, 120 to 313. And I'm delighted now to be joined on the line by Laois manager Tommy Fitzgerald. Tommy, brilliant result for you guys yesterday and a major milestone ticked. You're promoted into Division 1B for next year. Comprehensive victory over the Royals yesterday. You must be delighted how the season's gone so far.
Yeah, look, just happy to get the job done, I suppose, with a game to spare. Yeah, look, it was obviously our first target for the year, and it's achieved. Look, as a hurling county, we probably, you don't want to be in Division 2 with all due respect, and we probably need to be competing at that higher level. So we were very disappointed last year to go down. So to come straight back up is pleasing, but at the same time, we're probably going into a Joe Mac now with teams that are playing Division 1B. So look, we'll be playing teams who have been, I suppose, accustomed to playing that higher level. So that's going to be a challenge in itself, like, because some of the teams we played like are probably, Christian teams or whatever. So it's look, that's next. That's down the line. But for the moment, look, I suppose box ticked, and we're back in Division 1B, which is very important for Laois.
Yeah, and you mentioned how important it is, Tommy, to get it done with a game to spare. You've London away in the final round of league fixtures before a league final. We know the schedule is full on. It's relentless for players. The approach to the London game now, is it kind of give younger guys a chance, roll out the squad a bit more, give players a bit of a break, or are you going to try and keep the momentum going into a league final and roll out some of the same guys?
I know, look, we'll have to mix it up. We have to give lads opportunities. We have been mixing up a bit in the league. So, yeah, we'll certainly be probably looking at a different team the next day. look, it's box ticks really, Paddy, to be honest with you. Look, I know there's a league final coming, but it's just all about getting out of the division, to be honest with you. When that league final rolls around, we'll obviously try and win it. But look, just to be back in Division 1B was the main thing, and we will we'll mix it up the next day, definitely. And look, to be honest with you, full attention now is on 6 weeks' time in the Joe Mac. It's kind of mission achieved now for the league, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of talk, obviously, between hurling and football with the leagues and what teams are looking to get out of the leagues and maybe get into league finals. For you guys to be in a final, how important is it? Albeit we know that Joe McDonagh is the main target for the end of the season, but just to win some silverware, is there much stock in that within the group or for yourself, or is it, like you say, it's kind of another hurdle to be crossed before really the Joe McDonagh in the summer?
I think it's the latter, to be honest with you, Paddy. Look, it's all about just getting out of that division, to be quite honest with you, and getting back up to 1B. Our main, I suppose, two big targets start of the year was to get back to 1B, and then obviously the Joe Mac. So look, it's full focus on the Joe Mac now. Next 6 weeks, when the league final rolls around, we'll obviously go try and win it, and it'll be a nice little added bonus if we do pick up a cup along the way. But look, a Division 2 cup is not, I suppose, another target at the start of the year, to be honest with you. So look, it's about us trying to get the balance right, trying to get game time into fellas, and landing in a good place in 6 weeks' time, and being ready for those, especially those first 2 rounds before the break. Like we have Carlow and Antrim the first 2 rounds, which is on paper obviously very, very difficult task. So big 6 weeks ahead for us. Yeah,
well, listen, Tommy, thanks a million for joining us. Brilliant, as you say, achievement so far to get that promotion in the bag this first week of March. And we'll obviously be keeping an eye on the Joe McDonagh in the background over the next 2 or 3 months as well. So listen, thanks a million for taking time out to join us. Congratulations on yesterday, and good luck in the league final in a couple of weeks' time, and then in the summer as well.
Thanks, Paddy. Appreciate it. Take care.
Well, thanks for Tommy for joining us, and we move on to Division 3 next, where Tyrone enjoyed a comfortable victory 3-22 to 11 points over Armagh. Wicklow had too much for Donegal with a 7-point victory for them, and the Rossies had too much for Fermanagh with a 5-18 to 2-22 victory on Saturday. In Division 4, Leitrim were 2-28 to 15-point winners over Lancashire. Sligo 8-19, the biggest score of the weekend, to 12 points over Cavan, and it was a draw between Warwickshire and Longford. And now on to competition time as always. This weekend we have 2 tickets to Saturday night's double header outside in Croke Park in the Allianz Football Leagues. It's Tyrone against Meath, and the relegation battle between Dublin and Armagh on Saturday night. So as always, to win tickets to that, please leave a comment under our YouTube or Twitter video, and Aisling will announce the winner on Friday's preview show. So it's a football weekend. And everyone's favourite part of the show to finish up, it's our buzzer blitz. It's a debut for all 3 of our contestants this week. They've all seen it in action. We have 30 seconds. It's a quick fire quiz. Questions are a little bit trickier this week, lads. A buzzer each there. Try not to break them. Noel Connors, we've had to order 2 or 3 since he's been in. The target, guys, for you, the leaders with 5 correct answers in one go is Noel Connors is one of them, because he's been on nearly every week having a go at it. And Tipperary's own Kelly as well. So 2 hurlers are in the leaderboard. So, first man or lady to buzz gets the answer. If you get it incorrect, it will pass to one of your rivals. We have 30 seconds on the clock, and we'll start with our first question. Who scored 2-6 for Kerry in yesterday's victory over Mayo?
Shane Conway.
If you use the buzzer, Podge. Séamus.
Is that Oisin Maudsley?
It is correct.
Yeah, okay.
You stole your answer. Very good.
The match report, yeah.
How many changes did Ben O'Connor make to a starting 15 versus Limerick? Podge, correct. Third. Who became the record appearance holder for Limerick on Saturday night?
Hickey Quaid.
1 each. Very good, guys. Very sharp, the hurlers.
Killing me.
How many different scorers, we mentioned this, did Galway have against Kilkenny?
13.
Correct.
Yup.
What county gained promotion back to Division 1B?
Laois.
You are going to break that table, Paddy. We need to send them a bill for this. Which undefeated side is top of the Allianz Hurling League Division 4? Podge. I thought it was Podge. Being told it's Séamus.
Division 4.
8-19 they scored.
Sligo.
Leitrim.
I got to give it to Niamh.
Yeah, she got
give you
the
that.
answer. Stealing Niamh's answer.
What did Aidan O'Connor score versus Cork?
111.
Correct. No incorrect answers. And the final question. Plenty of time left. Who was named Wexford hurling captain last week? Séamus.
It wasn't Lee, it was Damien Ray.
Jack O'Connor.
You just haven't given his answer yet.
He went Damien Ray.
It was wrong. It's Jack O'Connor, correct.
Yeah.
Yoger, okay.
Wow,
Okay.
you guys, you've been practicing. That's a very, very good answer.
I'm done.
3 for Niamh, 3 for Podge, 2 for Séamus. You tried to cheat in every answer there, but very good.
Tried
Podge.
to
I got in there well, yeah.
Well done,
Top
guys.
class. Yeah. Well,
Noel Connors is safe and Owen Kelly still on
hanging
5.
Sorry.
Well done,
Sorry.
guys. Great answers. And as always, that brings an end to the show for this week. Thanks to everyone for joining us, as always. Aisling is here on Friday. She'll be previewing all of the Allianz Football League actions and the rescheduled Waterford Tipperary game. Join me next Monday. We'll be looking back at all the action. Have a great week in the meantime, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, enjoy the view.